And now, in studio, bringing his Midwest values from the Show Me State to the land of San Diego. He's a triple threat, licensed as an attorney, mortgage broker, and a top producing realtor who's crushing the competition. Here to deliver you what's happening in the trenches of the market. Your host, Michael Gaddis.
Welcome back to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis of michaelgaddis.com. And as you know, I am here every Monday night at 7 p.m. to talk about anything and everything related to real estate. Right now I want to talk a little bit about representing buyers in real estate transactions. And I want to tell you, the number one thing that I do is show houses. I love showing houses. Why? Because you never know what you're going to see. That's why. I swear to you, showing houses is the most fun thing you will ever do. Because people are nuts. And you just never know what you're going to see. For example, I was showing this house the other day, and I called up and the agent, and I said, okay, my clients and I are going to go see this house. We just want to confirm that it's open. Oh yeah, it's open, but the owner's there, but don't worry, he's good. He'll step out while you're there. So we go I go to knock on the door. First I pull up to the house, and I notice the house is not the best curb appeal that you would imagine for somebody who's actively selling the house. So I knock on the door, and there's cobwebs all over the place. You could just tell that this house has not been very well maintained. I was like, my clients are like, got a little bit of deferred maintenance? I said, yeah. So the guy opens the door, and he's got like he's no shirt on. He's got this giant belly, and he's eating a sandwich, right? And he's got a big, thick Russian accent. Yes, he said. He goes, you here to see house? I said, yeah, we're here to see. Come in, come see house. So he's eating a sandwich. He opens his, and this guy's either a hoarder or he owns some sort of antique shop out of his house, because there is so much stuff in this house. There's only a little path to get through. And we're talking about weird antiques. Like, old, cameras, and just there's deer heads, moose heads, just everything's laying all over there. It's a very bizarre house. So he goes, oh, you want to see kitchen? I said, yeah, let's go see kitchen. So he goes, over there. So we go in the kitchen. I kid you not, it's a mess. I mean, right? There's half-cooked pasta on there. I mean, I looked at him, I even asked him, I said, you did know we were coming, right? Oh, yes, my realtor told me. Yes, no problem. You see what you want. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I looked through the house in the kitchen. Then I mean, this is how bizarre it gets. Just to give you a little background, one of my clients is an ex-police officer, okay? So I'm going in there. On the front, in the dining room, there's this table, and there's all this white powder all over the table. There's a giant bong in the middle of the table, little razor blades, and I'm looking at the guy, I'm looking at the table, he's like, he goes, look at the backyard, good stuff in the backyard, too. So my client's looking around, seeing all this drug paraphernalia all over. I mean, I'm thinking, how do you not know we're not raiding you or something like that? So we go into the backyard. He's got a half-filled pool that has green water in it. I don't know what's in the pool. I mean, seriously, there was something in there. I don't know what it was, but something's in there. And you look around, he's got all these giant papier-mâché eyeballs all over the yard. Like, I'm telling you, big papier-mâché eyeballs. We're talking about 4 or 5 feet across in diameter. And they're like hanging from trees, some are on the ground. Then I turn around, he's got like 130 10-speed bikes, like all parked next to each other. My client is like, where are we? The Twilight Zone? I'm like, I have no idea whatsoever. So we're looking, I mean, it's just constant seeing this bizarre stuff. We go back in and the guy says, oh, so you want to see upstairs? I wanted to see upstairs. My clients had seen enough, but I said, no, I want to see. But they didn't want to, so I didn't get to go upstairs. But who knows what I would have saw up there. I'll tell you, that place was special. But he had like plants growing down because he had the open stairwell. There are plants draped down like it was a jungle. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy place. Ironically, the realtor called me, a couple hours later. Hey, so what'd you think? I said, have you even been to the house? Have you seen it? I mean, it was just so bizarre. So, it's funny because on this same trip, I take these people over to see this another house. So we go over to this other house. Very nice older couple owned this house. Very nice, very clean, very complete. In contrast to the other one, it was like a completely different experience. So we go into this house, and and when we're in there, all of a sudden I feel something bumping at my feet. I'm like, what is that? It felt dense. I'm like, what is bumping against me? I looked down, they had a house turtle, like a giant house turtle. I'm like, how many people you know have house turtles? So I go outside and I said, I'm sorry, did you know there's a turtle in your house? Oh yeah, that turtle's been here since we bought the house. He was there, and now he lives in our house, and he just chills out. I'm like, that's very. You could have told me you had a house turtle, because not everybody has house turtles. So I just want to make sure going forward that I'm aware of any house turtles in any houses, because it is a little bit startling to see it. The only point I say is that it is really fun to show houses, because you honestly do not know what you're going to see when you go there. I mean, it is incredible. I showed another house down in Allied Gardens down in San Diego, and in the backyard they had a bomb shelter, a nuclear bomb shelter from like atomic bomb. In the 50s and 40s, people were so scared of nuclear war that some people built their own bomb shelters. So this house had a built-in bomb shelter. So you got that going for you. You don't have to worry. You just go in your backyard, go down, and there you go. So there's just things you see that you just don't see anywhere else. I mean, it is really a fun thing to do, to go see houses, and that's why and just two more things. I'll tell you two more little quick things I saw. I went to another guy's house. I go upstairs. He's got this shadow box on the wall, and it was just a little tiny house, and it was kind of cluttered and stuff. But I was drawn towards this shadow box because it was a rabbit inside. And I'm like, it's stuffed animal rabbit. And I'm like, why is there a stuffed animal rabbit in a shadow box? So my clients didn't care. They just kind of went off. But I was like easing closer and closer to this rabbit. I look up there and I noticed it said Harvey on top. And I'm like, Harvey? I said, the only Harvey I know is Jimmy Stewart, from the movie Harvey. Certainly, look down, it's autographed by Jimmy Stewart. There's an autographed Harvey doll hanging in this house in a shadow box. I'm like, how trippy is that? I just got to see a relic from the past. And I was in Palm Springs 2 weeks ago. I was showing a house. I walk in, this person has pictures of clowns all over their house, like paintings of clowns everywhere. And I'm like, wow, there's a lot of clown paintings here. And I look down, it's by Red Skelton. I don't know if you know who Red Skelton is. He's a famous comedian. I guess he retired in Palm Springs, and I guess he liked to paint, and he liked to paint clowns. So this woman has one of the largest collections of Red Skelton clown paintings, and it's just, as I said, you just never know what you're going to see when you're out there, and it's fun because you get to see a lot of different stuff. But with that being said, when you get, as I've told you last week, I think one of the things I talked a lot about last week was get good quality representation when you get when you're buying a house. And I think everyone just thinks that they can have anybody hire, represent them in a transaction. And it's not true. I mean, you can technically, but I think we were talking last time after the show, and there's somewhere around 20,000 people that have licenses in San Diego, real estate licenses. How many of those do you think are actually qualified to represent you? And I'll give you an example. A guy just called me this week, and he wants to retain me because he's in a real estate transaction. He let the listing agent also represent him as the buyer. And it was a short sale. He put a $40,000 deposit down on this house. $40,000 escrow deposit. The house is $2 million. Just to give you an idea, the standard escrow deposit, earnest money deposit is around 1%. So he should be putting down about 20 grand. But for some reason, he put 40 grand, which he said was because his agent recommended it. Well, what happened is now it was a short sale transaction. So the seller started doing some kind of unusual things, saying that unless he paid him a bunch of money for personal property, he was going to destroy the house, all kinds of stuff. So the guy says, I don't want this transaction. So the transaction closed out. Now the guy won't release his deposit. So I said, well, why don't you put pressure on your agents? And he's like, well, they also represented him. It was just a big mess. So I think what you need to do, if you need someone to help you buy a house, you need to find your own champion. Don't rely on the listing agent. And I know what you're all thinking. You think, if I go to the listing agent, I'm going to get a better deal. I'll get a better price, or I'll have a better chance of getting the house. You also have a better chance at calling me later on complaining that something went wrong, wishing that you would have did something different. So the key is you need your own champion in the transaction. Get your own champion and find someone who really knows what they're doing, because otherwise what should be a happy occurrence is going to turn into a miserable occurrence. I assure you of that. So anyway, after the break, we're going to continue our discussion on real estate. And you know what? I got a pretty good surprise for you on what we're going to talk about. You're listening to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170, The Answer.